You'll almost never hear somebody say that consistency is bad. I think actually, not almost, you'll never hear somebody say consistency is bad. And you'll almost always hear people attribute their success in some manner or in some way or in some form to consistency. So much so that there's some very amazing cliche quotes about consistency. Let's give some a read. Success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come, by Dwayne Johnson. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. I accumulated small but consistent habits that ultimately led to results that were unimaginable when I started. Let's go for one more. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives. It's what we do consistently. So on the theme of consistency, I thought I would talk about consistency and how it's helped me at, you guessed it, Freshly Grounded. So those of you who have been following Freshly Grounded for the last 4 and a bit years will know, oh actually, this month is 4 years since Freshly Grounded begun. So thanks for the congratulations in advance. So in being that it's 4 years this month of Freshly Grounded, I want to talk about consistency. To be honest, I was going to do it anyway, but then I just remembered that in this video. Undoubtedly, one of the key factors of the success that we've managed to get in a small way through Freshly Grounded is due to the consistency. Every single week, every single Friday, bar probably a handful of weeks, like in 4 years, maybe less than 5 times, we've not released an episode on a Friday. Our goal was always to release an episode on a Friday, and alhamdulillah, for the last 4 years, we pretty much always have. So what I wanted to do in this episode is not just preach about success to you guys, but to give you 5 ways I was able to stay, and we were able to stay consistent with Freshly Grounded, with putting out an episode every week. You already know the results of being consistent. You know that it leads to good. So this video is not about explaining that. It's about actual ways we remained consist. Let's get into it. Forgive me, I've written them down. Number 1, we told ourselves that it must happen. Simon Sinek speaks about a time when he felt like giving up writing his book. His book, called Leaders Eat Last, is a probably #1 bestseller. He speaks about a time when he was thinking about giving up on writing the book, and he called one of his friends who was in the military, and he said to him, what do you do when you feel like giving up? He said, you can't give up, this is what you signed up for. And that is one of the things that you should tell yourselves. You signed up for this, you can't give up. This is what you signed up for. You said you were going to do an episode every single week. You said you were going to write 100 sentences a day. You said you were going to do 100 push-ups a day. Whatever it is, you said you were going to do that, and so therefore you signed up for it, which means that you cannot quit because this is what you signed up for. So no matter what, quitting and stopping is not an option. And that was number 1. Number 2 is doing it with whatever we have. Our episodes pretty much came out every single week, regardless of what we had access to. We started the podcast and we had just one little G7X camera. We didn't even have a tripod. It was done on a light stand, and you can see some episodes I literally bent the whole time because we didn't even adjust it in post. It was like one digital camera, and we even did some episodes on a phone. We did it with whatever we had access to at the time, and so we didn't let that stop us. These are the kind of excuses that can often stop us from doing the things. It's so easy to make excuses, but when you don't make those excuses and you do it no matter what, it gets done, and consistency remains. In fact, I think like the first 100 or even more episodes were shot on the G7X before we could actually had enough money to buy our own cameras. I actually think I have somewhere the footage of the first time we ever bought an actual Freshly Grounded camera, like the one that you guys are watching this on. And it was recently, like maybe a year ago or something. I'll try and find that footage. If I find that footage, then here it is. So after Freshly Grounded being around for, we finally bought our first ever camera that's ours, that we don't have to borrow from people or have a rubbish camera. This is the first official one that Freshly Grounded has actually bought after about almost 4 years. That's how you know nothing happens overnight. Brand new Sony A66,000 4K filming. Oh, I also bought a calculator and my lens. Alhamdulillah. Number 3, we were unashamed and unembarrassed to bug people to jump on Freshly Grounded. There were probably times where we were close to not having an episode, and we'd message someone and say, hey, do you want to do an episode of Freshly Grounded? And they'd be like, maybe, and then we just keep bugging them. But we wouldn't be embarrassed, we wouldn't be ashamed, because we had a vision for this thing. We knew we had to put out an episode every week, and so we did everything we could to put it out. And even if that meant embarrassing ourselves, coming across a bit like a beg, we did not care. And when I say we, of course, I mean me. Number 4, and this is a big one, we understood that if we're going to release an episode every single week for years and years and years, no doubt that there's going to be some episodes that are just bad episodes. There are going to be some episodes that people don't like, or that even we don't like, because you can't hit a net every time you shoot a basketball from the 3-point line. You're not going to get it right every time, basically, and you're not going to get it perfect every time. And so rather than expecting that of yourselves, you have to accept that sometimes, if you're going to do something every single week, sometimes it's just not going to be a great episode. And we were aware of that. But we realized that it's better to have an off day and remain consistent than to take a day off and not be consistent. That's right, I came up with that all by myself. It's better to have an off day than to take a day off. Faisal Chowdhury. And so that's what we did. Sometimes we put out an episode that maybe wasn't to the standard that a regular episode should be, but we didn't let that stop us because consistency was more important to us at that time. And look, you have to be able to understand when consistency is important and when you are going a bit too negatively and badly that it just looks horrible. But hopefully we've never gone like down that low in terms of quality. Staying consistent has always been the utmost important thing to us in Freshly Grounded. And finally, number 5, and this is the reason why staying consistent has been the utmost important to us. So we very early heard the hadith about Allah loving deeds that are consistent even if they are small. And so we realized that there's barakah in consistency. And it's amazing how like Muslims and non-Muslims always, when it comes to success, speak about consistency. And it's something that we've been told that there's barakah in. And therefore, if we know that Allah loves the deeds that are consistent even if they are small, our like single most important goal was to remain consistent. So number 5 is that we made dua and sincerely, and we relied upon Allah. So as much as this isn't like an Islamic channel, I think it's important as a Muslim for me to explain that we really do just really rely on Allah to put out an episode every single week. Because there's been times where there's been deaths, there's been times where we've been away, we've been on holidays, guests have cancelled. Actually, I don't know if they have, but other things have happened. And we really rely on Allah because we really do believe that what we're doing in Freshly Grounded, sincerely, we're doing it to in some way make the world a better place. And if our intentions are clean and we are sincere, then why would we be let down by Allah, who is Ar-Razaq, Ar-Rahman? So we rely fully on Him. And I think that's a big part of it, making dua sincerely and then relying upon Allah. So there's the 5 points on how to remain consistent and how we remain consistent. Maybe I'll title this video 4 years of Freshly Grounded, how we remain consistent, or how to remain consistent, or how we remain consistent. I don't know. Thank you guys very much so for watching. I will see you on the next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.